Hi everyone, today I am featuring print ads with products and recipes that include those products, and some of them are crazy. Here's a 1940 ad that has a legitimate recipe for souffle. It just happens to be made with processed cheese, made with Velveeta or one of the other Kraft cheeses. Here's an ad from 1959 for Veg-O-All, cans of mixed vegetables, where they're suggesting making a pie plate aspic out of cans of Veg-O-All with lemon gelatin. I don't think so. If you were around in the 1960s like I was, you would have remembered this 1969 ad for Spam Spread. Potted meat spreads were very popular in the 60s. In 1949, Del Monte suggested combining its fruit cocktail with chopped up Spam or treat and gelatin and molding it into a salad. Something truly horrible. In 1964, Del Monte was plugging its canned green beans for use in an Italian-style meatloaf. That is definitely a bit of a stretch. Mock apple pie goes back to the mid-19th century, but in this Ritz crackers ad from the 1970s, you'll see their recipe for it, which they've been advertising since the 1930s, and I do admit to always wanting to try it. In 1953, Kraft mac and cheese was not yet called that, and in this ad, Kraft is suggesting that you mold their mac and cheese and then serve it with a tuna noodle casserole type gravy. These lame boxed pizza kits were very popular back in the day, and in this ad from the 1960s, they're suggesting you combine it with slices of Spam. In 1971, Birds Eye was letting women know your man is hungry. But the joke really is on the men being served, because this recipe is terrible. Here's a 1920s ad for Kraft processed cheese. This is before Kraft bought Velveeta in 1927. But look at the absolutely crazy turkey stuffing recipe with cheese. In 1959, Hormel thought you might want to make a cake out of Spam and unsliced white bread and then frost it with cream and mayonnaise. I wonder if anyone actually made that. In this 1959 ad, French's was letting everyone know they could use their instant mashed potatoes to make fancy sides. And admit it, you've made instant mashed potatoes. This 1960s monster involves suspending cubes of fruit Jell-O in a mixture of yet more Jell-O and cream cheese, and then surrounding the whole thing with lady fingers. I know it was the 1940s and things were scarce and there was rationing, but I don't know that any war hero would want a can of Chef Boyardee ravioli. No reason to be surprised by this 1984 ad for Hellmann's Mayo and Hershey's Cocoa. Mayo is made of eggs and oil. Those are standard cake ingredients. I wonder who came up with this 1960s idea of combining Skippy peanut butter and Hellmann's Mayo. I hope they lost their job. I'm willing to swing with these lime Jell-O recipes with the best of them, but this ad from 1952 combining lime Jell-O with cabbage? No. Just no. Want a potato salad loaf cake frosted with a mix of gelatin, broth, and Hellmann's Mayo? If you do, this Hellmann's ad from the 1960s has you covered. In the mid-60s, Jell-O introduced savory gelatin, and this is a set of products I wish they still had, because now if you want to make a savory salad, you're stuck using lime Jell-O, whereas before you could use celery. 1960s aspic aquarium is insane. It's an aquarium made out of Jell-O, shrimp, vegetables, and Hellmann's mayonnaise. It's really unbelievable. Canned peas are an abomination, but Del Monte in 1949 was still plugging away, trying to get people to use them creatively, and here we have a jelly roll style salmon loaf. I don't think I need to tell you that this chopped ham, relish, Miracle Whip, nut, and cream cheese beast is from the 1970s, do I? This deviled lettuce recipe should never have gotten off the drawing board. It contains Miracle Whip and deviled ham. Enough said. Try though they did in the early 70s, nothing can save Chef Boyardee complete pizza mix. Nothing. California Raisins marketing jumped the shark in 1984. Baked beans fine, ham fine, but a cheeseburger? Nobody wants California raisins or any kind of raisin on a cheeseburger. In 1951, Ann Page suggested that you could satisfy your man by stuffing some onions with their store brand of baked beans and then baking it. Okay, who am I to argue? Durkee's Coconut Snowman of 1958 will not stand. Boxed cake mix produces a very soft product. The snowman would have no integrity. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. This Kellogg's Rice Krispies ad from 1976 really screams 1970s, but it's got a pretty good recipe. These crunchy cheese sandwiches look good, although, I don't know, who makes a grilled cheese with only one slice of cheese? This Canadian foundry was touting canned food in the 1950s because it produced cans. And this meal in a mold is made with canned food and gelatin. There must be 10,000 recipes using Campbell's soup, including these three from this 1971 ad. But there's nothing terrible here. There's no problem with Campbell's soup in meatloaf. The sauce recipe in this French's ad from 1948 looks really good. It's got evaporated milk, ketchup or tomato paste, and French's mustard. Hellmann's was guilty of producing many recipes involving its product, cranberry sauce, nuts, fruit, and gelatin, as this recipe from 1958 proves. Even if you pre-baked the meat crust in this Campbell's 1965 recipe, this would turn out to be a big mess. These Underwood deviled meat products were super popular in the 70s, but they were just god-awful. Look at that corned beef spread with relish recipe. Yuck. Kraft's fruit Jell-O in a melon, frosted with cream cheese and milk frosting, and then sliced. But how do you slice it without making a big mess out of it? Nothing wrong with this recipe from 1950 where you use corned beef hash in a stuffed pepper. My mother used to just take both ends off the can, push it out, slice it, and then fry it. This 1961 Oscar Mayer recipe is an absolute hazard. You create the tree by stapling sprigs of parsley to a styrofoam cone. In 1971, Campbell suggested taking 8 eggs and whisking them with a can of cream of chicken soup and then making scrambled eggs out of it. Campbelled eggs. 1967's cranberry candles. They involved molding mayonnaise, gelatin, and cranberry sauce, and then topping them with a little piece of a birthday candle. The idea of serving Dr. Pepper hot has been around for quite some time, and in this ad from 1964, they're suggesting some rum. Thanks for watching my little video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you like my content, please subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful day.